Lessons.
John Major is expected to end the speculation and name the election date tomorrow. It's believed he'll ask the Queen to dissolve Parliament in just over 2 weeks' time for an election on May the 1st. More violence as desperate Albanians try to escape the chaos and misery of their own country. And no quarter given as Rangers beat Celtic and head for 9 titles in a row. Good evening. John Major is expected to confirm tomorrow that the general election will be held on May the 1st, 6 weeks on Thursday. The formal statement will end months of speculation. Our political editor, Robin Oakley, is in Downing Street. Robin, what happens tomorrow?
Well, the long months of phony war finally come to an end tomorrow, Peter. All those who've been saying, for heaven's sake, let's get on with this general election, are going to have their prayers answered. Mr. Major will, of course, go to the palace as the first sign of anything happening that we shall see outwardly. But before that, there will be a clue if we see ministers assembling in Downing Street for an unscheduled cabinet meeting. It has to be stressed there is no official confirmation at this stage that the announcement comes tomorrow. The convention is that the Queen has to be told first. But what we would expect is a cabinet meeting followed by Mr. Major driving to the palace and then coming back and making the announcement on the steps of Downing Street, as it were, asserting ownership.
And then would we be in for 6 weeks of campaigning?
Not necessarily 6 whole weeks of full campaigning. Parliament is expected to stay on until about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, finishing what business can be agreed between the government and the opposition. There'll then be a break for Easter. Parliament will be formally dissolved probably after Easter, though MPs don't actually have to come back for that. Campaigning proper will start in the week after Easter. That's when we'll see the party manifestos and the real battle take off.
Robin Oakley, thank you. Earlier, the prospect of live television election debates between John Major and Tony Blair appeared to recede when the Liberal Democrats threatened legal action if Paddy Ashdown was excluded. And the Scottish National Party said they'd want their leader in any confrontation broadcast in Scotland. Our political correspondent David Walter reports.
Despite John Major's reception in Bath yesterday, even the most senior and most loyal Tories now concede publicly they're behind Labour. However, they claim a debate with Tony Blair could transform Conservative fortunes. But the party chairman's sticking to the condition that the debate must be 2, not 3-sided. The broadcasters could find another way of giving Paddy Ashdown a say, he claims. The Prime Minister won't debate with him.
No, we're talking, as far as the British people are concerned, with a choice of 2 futures, not a choice of 3 futures, and a choice of 2 possible Prime Ministers, not a choice of 3 possible Prime Ministers. So that's the issue.
But a debate without Paddy Ashdown would be completely unacceptable to the Liberal Democrats, and they're determined to prevent it.
We'll take legal action, and we've already been taking legal advice on this. I'm personally in favour of a televised debate amongst the party leaders. I have slight misgivings about whether we go to a more presidential style of politics in this country, but I think that's becoming inevitable.
The Scottish Nationalists plan a legal challenge too. Any television debate shown in Scotland, they say, must reflect the reality of 4-party politics there. Though the Welsh Nationalists would settle for a debate with the Welsh Secretary and other Welsh party leaders, the Scots take a tougher line.
Any debate broadcast into Scotland during an election campaign must involve the SNP as an equal participant with the other parties. I mean, after all, we're a very strong political force in Scotland. We've got more support than the Tories and the Liberals put together.
Tony Blair says he'd welcome a debate. If it depends on Paddy Ashdown being included, Labour are quite willing to accommodate him.
How the whole thing's set up are matters for the broadcasters. But so far as we're concerned, we've been pressing for this debate. So we're delighted, and we hope the Conservatives are serious about this, and they're not just dithering about again, because we've been pressing for it for months and months.
The BBC say they'd like to stage debates, and they're talking to the political parties. But all broadcasting organisations are bound by law to be impartial between the parties, particularly during elections. It's hard to see how they can legally mount debates under the conditions which the Conservatives are currently stipulating. Some opposition MPs are suggesting that the Conservatives are bluffing. The Tories, they claim, don't really want a debate, so they're setting impossible conditions. It's more likely, though, that this is the Conservatives' opening negotiating position. But with a May the 1st election expected to be announced tomorrow, the format will have to be thrashed out pretty quickly. David Walter, BBC News, Westminster.
The former Conservative MP Alan Howarth, who defected to Labour in 1995, has won the nomination for the safe Labour seat of Newport East in South Wales. Mr Howarth, who's currently MP for Stratford-upon-Avon, beat 3 rival candidates in a constituency ballot. It was his 3rd attempt to secure a seat.